Hi, this is Elizabeth Brewington with our Discover Bright Side, where we discover authors and books and all kinds of things and introduce you to some great books that you could be reading all summer long. And also write a review because we love our audience that writes reviews. So if you are a social media buff like me, whether you write a review for this book on Facebook, or Instagram, or even on Amazon or anywhere that you buy books, we'd be so grateful, and the author would be so grateful, and it keeps our channel going. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel, to write a review. If you buy the book, snap a photo so we know you're paying attention. And just write us a comment, what you thought about the interview, what you thought about the book. We'd love to hear from you, and that's what keeps the channel going. So if you could buy the book, that would be wonderful. But if you can't buy the book, but can write a review or a comment to keep our algorithms going, then that helps us build a community, and it tells us that you love the programming. So here with me in our studio today is Dina Greenberg, and she's been on our show before, and I'll make sure the link to the previous interview is available. Uh, but I wanted her back, and she was very kind to give us some of her time to talk about where she's now since she published the book. And we'll talk a little bit about the book, but then we'll also talk about her recent trip to Bosnia and the wonderful things that she's doing, including creative workshops. If one of you are interested in learning about writing, then this might be for you. So without further ado, let's go into the studio and meet my guest today. And hi, Dina. It's been a while that you've been on our show. How has it been?
Hi there, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be back, and it's been a busy time.
Yes, it has. And you've been doing such wonderful work, and I've been watching you on LinkedIn and social media, and I'm like, I want to go and be with this big journey. So let's first dive into the book, Nirmina's Chance. Tell us about the book. Tell us why you wrote it, and why our audience should buy it.
So I wrote this book, Nermina's Chance, because back in the 1990s, there was a war going on in Europe that not a whole lot of people were aware of. And this was a war that caused devastation. It was indeed a genocide. The Serbian forces um, against the Bosnian Muslims, and uh, originally the Croats, and uh, this was just a horrible stain on our history. And this is a book that I felt needed to be written. And I wrote it from the perspective of a young woman who was in her second year of medical school, and her family, both of her parents were doctors. And so they were, kind of upwardly mobile people. And this is in the former Yugoslavia. So in my book, we follow the protagonist, Nermina, as she escapes from Sarajevo and travels to the United States. And from that point, the focus of the book is really about the trauma that she carries with her. And she has her daughter, whose name is Atika. And so, how that trauma plays out in her relationship with her daughter.
Oh, wow. That sounds awesome. And actually, all the characters in the book are so much fun and so deep and so inspiring, because trauma is something that people never can get over. It's a lifetime thing, and how you deal with is everything. So, tell me a little bit about these characters and how they support Nirmina in the book, and what were you planning to do with them?
Sure. Well, so in the book, as I said, Nermina's a young woman who has already been through 2 years of medical school, and not to produce any spoilers, but she meets a young man who is kind of a drifter. And so, in a sense, the book almost has two protagonists. There's Nermina, and then there's this young man named Carl. And the book kind of follows them, and then it diverges when the two characters go their own separate way. But Carl's character is really important because we're understanding how, even though he didn't suffer through a war, he also carries his own trauma of the family that he grew up with, and some of that dysfunction. So I tried to, in imagining the book, I tried to create characters that were multifaceted and they were complex. They weren't just a flat character, so that they're rounded. And so, there are lots of nuances and change, so that by the end of the book, these people have made some big strides in their capacity to love and in their capacity to form relationships. And as I said earlier, I think that the mother-daughter relationship is one that's really important in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the location, the way you've described these locations and even the war, and so tell us a little bit about them, and then without giving away the book, and then we'll get you to do your pitch and sell the book to my audience. Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Well, so the book begins in Sarajevo. So if people are historians and they understand what took place during the siege of Sarajevo, which lasted almost 2 years, uh, they'll understand that this was just, it was a horrific type of warfare where snipers were shooting at civilians from the hills. This is not something that hasn't happened again, sadly, and history repeats itself. But a lot of the book also takes place in the United States, and there's one character, Carl's brother, who is an American soldier, and he has returned from war in Afghanistan, and he's also suffering from trauma. So I think that no matter who these characters are and which locations we're talking about, whether it's in the United States or whether it's the Western Balkans, or whether it's Afghanistan, when our military forces are involved in this type of warfare, and civilians are on the other end, and they're certainly experiencing having their loved ones come home, certainly not whole. We're all experiencing war, and so I feel that 2 years out from when the book was published, we're now in the midst of two additional wars.
Did
Well,
you
sir, I
did you
mean,
think when you were writing the book that we
mhm.
would be moving in that direction?
I didn't think about that, and it's really sad that this is the direction
Yeah,
that
it's very sad.
that
Yeah.
we've gone. Although I will say that I think that the most important thing that a book like Nermina's Chance can do is to give people kind of a safe space to talk about these issues, to kind of open up the dialogue And I do know, I traveled in the summer of 2022. I traveled to Bosnia and did quite a number of book events in libraries and in universities and other settings. And it was really very rewarding to see how people in the audience wanted to talk about their experiences, wanted to talk about what it's like after the fact. Even 30 years later, they're still feeling the effects of the war.
Yeah, it is strong out there, and it's true. Um, and what I thought the book was so good was it really inspires you, as an audience, but who's also feeling trauma, because I know there's people all over that are really feeling the pain of the war, even though we're not, physically there, but you feel for it when you see scenes on the news, and it affects you. So for anyone, I would highly recommend that you get the book, and it is available on bookshop.org as well as Amazon and wherever books are sold. So I'm going to flash the screen so you don't forget the name of the book. I'll give you a few minutes to write it down, and get to know our author. And so there you have it. And thank you, Dina, so very much. And I know you're doing a lot of things. So tell us a little bit about your recent trip back, and how did you feel, and what did you see, and then we'll talk about what you're doing with the creative writing workshops.
Of course. So, um, what I can say is that I could have never dreamed of a more worthwhile trip to Bosnia. One of our hosts was an organization called La Benevolencia. And this is the Jewish humanitarian, cultural, and religious organization that was founded before World War II. And I was able to meet and really create some relationships with the staff members there, and that began a concept for a new book. And that book will focus on the Jewish community in Bosnia prior to World War II, which was very vibrant. So I'm very excited to say that I've now passed the peer review application period for the Fulbright, and I'm awaiting, hopefully, a positive answer that will bring me back to Bosnia at the end of the summer, and I'll begin a period of extended research there with so many really wonderful contacts and wonderful sites to visit. I feel like this will be a perfect way of delving into a brand new project. So that's happening. And the other thing that I should mention is I've been working on a series, an interview series called Women of the Bosnian Diaspora. And I've interviewed more than a dozen women whose families were in Bosnia at the beginning of the war. Most were forced to flee and ended up all over the world, in places like the Netherlands and Denmark, in Canada, in the United States. And these women are remarkable in what they've achieved. By and large, all have received advanced degrees. They're incredibly successful. They've raised families. They've become advocates. And for me, that's one of the most rewarding aspects of this work, is kind of having everything come full circle and being able to be an advocate for them and to help them elevate their voices.
Oh, that sounds so wonderful. That sounds so wonderful. Um, I just applaud you for all that you're doing, and tell us about the creative writing workshops. I don't know how you keep up, Dina, with so many projects going on. Yes.
As I said, it's been a busy time. So another host in Bosnia was the university, the International University of Sarajevo, a really, really magnificent school with a graduate program, a very robust roster of graduate programs. And I was invited to teach a creative writing workshop in long form fiction, meaning either memoir or novels. So I had a wonderful group of graduate students, and we met weekly for the entire semester over Microsoft Teams, which was a little bit challenging, but because people, some of the students were in Bosnia, some were in Germany. People were kind of all over the place. But we met in our team's room, or in our team's classroom, and we got some phenomenal writing done.
Mm.
So that was terrific. And then closer to home, I'm going to be doing a short workshop this month at the end of April at the Cameron Art Museum, and we're going to be working on exactly the opposite, short form hybrid works, like prose poetry and flash fiction. So it's all fun. And
Yep.
it's a privilege really to be able to work with new writers, and I love doing it.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. So we are thrilled. We're really thrilled to have you, and honored, or really honored to have you. And so with that, further ado, I'm going to show you once again the book. And another thing is, Dina is an influencer. So you need to follow her because she puts up incredible photography every time she travels. And you get to learn about places not just through the interview and the book, but the images. They will just turn you. So if you want to follow someone, me too, you need to follow both of us. Dina, just like her name, Dina Greenberg, follow her on social media wherever she is. Just go in the search engine bar, put her name there, she'll pop up, and she's someone you want to follow. And write a review, write a comment about the video, and we will be so appreciative of that. And I am Elizabeth Clare Brewington, and follow me and my channel as Discover Brightside, and you can write a review about us too. And just do the social media thing, and you'll be surprised that the reviews will get our traffic to you, and so you can grow your audience as well, and we both can win. So do your thing, subscribe, and get the book. Thank you for watching discoverbrightside.com, where we discover everything new and old and informational, and books and wonderful people and everything to empower you and your life and your business and anything that you're going through. So thank you for watching.
Thank you.